and let's start right there, because the San Francisco 49ers have made it halfway through their schedule unbeaten. Who would have thought that the 49ers would be 8-0? They were 4-12 last year. They've doubled their wins in half the number of games. And last night, and this is where you can spin it in a very positive way if you're a 49ers fan. Last night was one of those games that they had to fight and scratch and claw to win. This will serve them well down the road when they get themselves in a game where they have to fight and scratch and claw to win, because they did it. The muscle memory, if there's any relevance to that cliche whatsoever in this setting, it will be there. They won't freak out. They've been in some tough spots. They know what it takes. They know how to stay calm under fire. If you're beating everybody by 40 points and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a close game, you may not know what to do. I think there is something to that. It sounds a little trite, but I think there is something to it. So if there is, good for the 49ers, because they had a tough game. They had a rough outing, but they ended up winning. Defensively, think about this. They had allowed 17 points week 1 to the Buccaneers, 17 points week 2 to the Bengals, 20 points week 3 to the Steelers, and then after the bye, 4 weeks combined, the 49ers defense allowed a total of 23 points. Last night, 25 points were given up by the San Francisco 49ers. And we've got the post at ProFootballTalk.com with the quotes from Richard Sherman. Uncharacteristically humbled was Richard Sherman in the aftermath of the game, in part because there was an 88-yard touchdown late in the contest that ultimately narrowed the gap to 3 points. Kyler Murray to fellow rookie Andy Isabella, 88-yard catch and run. There were some failures of basic fundamental tackling that allowed Andy Isabella to turn that into a touchdown. And Richard Sherman humbled by that, the defense humbled by the performance, but the 49ers victorious. See, that's what's great. And that's a hallmark of a great team. When you can win even on a night that is far from your best night, that's a special season. That's the kind of thing you point to and say, we're on to something here. Because even though we're completely unhappy with how we played defensively, we still won the game. And they won the game in large part due to a great performance from quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. 28 of 37, 317 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. An early case for NFC Offensive Player of the Week, pending the results of all of the games. But it's hard to imagine anyone having a better week. And I've said at some point Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to step up and make a big throw in a big spot in a big game. He made multiple big throws. He made multiple drive-sustaining throws. And there was a key moment at the end of the first half. Before I tell you that, let me just point out how rare of the performance was that we saw last night from Garoppolo. First 4 touchdown pass performance for the 49ers since Colin Kaepernick, December of 2012, when he took the 49ers into Foxborough and they beat the Patriots 41-34 on Sunday Night Football. First time there's been a 49ers quarterback to have 4 touchdown passes and 300 more passing yards since Jeff Garcia in 2000. That's how long it's been. So Garoppolo showing that he's more than just a bystander to a championship-level defense and an excellent running game. Garoppolo earning his money last night. Now, key exchange late in the first half. 49ers up 14-7. 4th and goal from the 1. 4 seconds left. They come out, they line up, they snap the ball. The Cardinals stuff the running attempt. But you could hear the whistles blowing. The whistles were blowing not because the 49ers had called a timeout, not because there was a delay of game, not because there was any penalty or anything else. The whistles were blowing because Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury decided to take a timeout. And after the game, he took responsibility for it. He said he wanted to get a look at what they were going to do. He wanted them to burn their best play for that spot. And if that was their best play, well, they were wrong. There was a better play because that play didn't score. The next play did. It was a touchdown pass from Jimmy Garoppolo to Emmanuel Sanders. And Emmanuel Sanders has been a great addition. He's the guy they traded for last week, 3rd-round pick, plus one of those little back end, you give us a 5, we'll give you a 4 to make it look like it's actually being evened out. It basically is a 3rd-round pick. That's a lot to give up for a 32-year-old receiver who had a torn Achilles tendon late last season. But you know what? He's been spectacular so far. And it's clicking now. The passing game is clicking. They already had George Kittle. They need to be a little worried about him. He left the game late. He was on the sidelines. He wasn't there for the final 2 drives, had a knee injury early. Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the team, said after the game that it was a knee and ankle problem for George Kittle, and he did gut it out. He had a 30-yard catch and run for a touchdown after that knee injury, and you could see him take a helmet to the knee. If you're watching on TV, it's one of those moments where the knee goes in a direction that the knee's not supposed to go, and it looked a little serious at first. It was surprising to see him back out there so soon, but late in the game, he was standing on the sidelines, and so that's a situation where he'll get checked out, and they may have to hold their breath a little bit, but they have fought through injury. They're going to get some of their injured guys back. Kyle Juszczyk will be back for the Monday night game, most likely coming up in about 10 days against the Seattle Seahawks. And the schedule does get more difficult for the 49ers. Last night was a nice test, and they're going to need to play better defensively when they come up against the Seahawks week 10. They got the Cardinals again week 11, no gimme there. Then the Packers week 12. Then 2 tough road games at the Ravens, at the Saints. Then they get a second bye week, essentially, with a visit from the Falcons, and then they wrap up with the Rams and at the Seahawks. So the second half of the schedule, a lot more difficult than the first half of the schedule. And I'm not saying they won't run the table, but if they run the table, they will have earned it. These next 8 games have multiple real challenges for the 49ers. But last night, again, Jimmy Garoppolo steps up, big spot, big moment, gets it done, and he earns the praise of his coach, Kyle Shanahan. Here's Shanahan talking about Garoppolo's performance after the game.
He played great today. He made a lot of plays in rhythm and made a lot of off-schedule plays. They got a great pass rush. They had some real tight coverages. They mixed up a lot of stuff, but I thought Jimmy played a hell of a game, and it was his best game yet, probably.
Kyler Murray played a pretty good game for the Arizona Cardinals as well. He was 17 of 24, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, 88 of those yards came on that one play when they were down 11 in the fourth quarter. And there was another questionable decision from Cliff Kingsbury in the fourth quarter. And look, hey, he's new. He's new at this, right? Freddie Kitchens uses that excuse in Cleveland. We'll give that one to Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. You're kind of learning how best to manage these games at the NFL level, and whether it's getting that premature look at what the 49ers were doing on 4th and goal from the 1 at the end of the half and having it blow up in your face, or using a challenge right before the 2-minute warning to look at a spot of a ball on a 3rd down run where Tevin Coleman ran out of bounds and he was given the first down yardage by the officials on the field. And it's probably a situation where Cliff Kingsbury should not have thrown the red challenge flag, because it's not easy in any situation to have the clear and obvious evidence necessary to respot the ball. When it's close like that, they're not going to respot the ball and make it short of the first down. And that was a wasted challenge, but more importantly, a wasted timeout. They could have used that timeout down the stretch, because eventually the 49ers were able to just do the kneel down parade and get out of Arizona with the victory. So, look, the Cardinals have many things they can feel good about. They're 3-5-1. I didn't expect them to be that good, but they've had opportunities just in the last week. I mean, they were 3-3-1 on Sunday morning. They played the Saints more closely than 31-9 would indicate, and then they gave the 49ers everything they can handle. They should be proud. There's no moral victories. Look, there's a little bit of a moral victory here. You're a team that is in the early stages of trying to build something, and the 7-1 Saints had to sweat it out until midway through the third quarter before they began the process of putting the Cardinals away on Sunday, and the 49ers had to sweat it out for the whole game. And I think the Cardinals should take some pride in the fact that they were down 21-7 at the half after that ill-advised decision to take a timeout on a play that ultimately did not work for the 49ers. The second chance pushes it to 21-7. The Cardinals did not go away. They continued to come after the 49ers, and they should be proud of what they did there. Also proud of a trade that they made that has worked out pretty well. Kenyon Drake, 3 days after being sent from Miami to Arizona, he had 162 total yards from scrimmage. It made people wonder, what the heck is Miami doing? Maybe they are tanking. Trade away all your great players. 162 yards from scrimmage. Looked like he's been with the Cardinals his whole career. And let me tell you something. If this guy continues to perform like that, it's going to raise some real questions about what they do with David Johnson's contract, because he's due to make over $10 million next year on that long-term contract he signed early 2018. And Hey, dollars and cents, rip the name off the back of the jersey. You got to be smart about this. $10.5 million is a lot more than David Johnson probably deserves at this point, given recent performances and given injury history. Kenyon Drake may be staking his claim to that job, at least based on what we saw last night.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.